Dawson.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. The famous psychoanalyst Sigmund Freud believed denial and blaming others was a defence mechanism that helped people sleep at night. And it's exactly that kind of behaviour we see across the Labor Party, federal, state and even their candidates, denial and blame shifting. Late last year, the Gillard Labor government tried to sneak through a savage cut in health funding it had previously promised to state governments around the nation. Queensland's cut is in the order of $103.5 million, out of which $3.2 million is to be cut from the Mackay region's hospital and health services. A further $7.8 million is to be cut from the Townsville Health Service. And despite this fact, the Gillard Labor government's candidate for Dawson and the Labor member for Mackay have both tried to deny these cuts and shift the blame onto the Queensland government. They've even attacked the independent chairman of the Mackay Hospital and Health Service Board for stating the facts publicly. This unfortunate article appeared in the Daily Mercury in Mackay on January the 15th, entitled "Mulherron Attacks Meng's Politics," and it says, "Acting Opposition Leader and member for Mackay, Tim Mulherron, has slammed the Mackay Hospital and Health Board for its engagement in a political debate." And it goes on to say that Mr Mulherron said Chairman Col Meng's comments on funding cuts had done nothing to enhance the board's credibility. What was probably worse was the Labor candidate for Dawson, who wrote a letter to the editor a few days later on January 21, and her first point in that letter was there is no federal funding cuts to Queensland hospitals in Queensland, so that's just plain denial of the facts. Number two, she said, it is a state government decision as to where federal funds for hospitals are allocated. If there is a shortfall in our region, it is for the State Health Minister to answer where else in the state our money has gone. That's blame shifting. So I have news for the Labor candidate in Dawson. The cuts were indeed made throughout the state. Indeed, they were made right across the nation. We've seen the Labor Party try to change the definition of misogyny to suit a story they want to tell, but now they're trying to change the definition of a cut. But a cut is a cut is a cut. If you allocate money in a May budget and reduce that amount 5 months later, then that is a cut. In the current budget, the forward estimates, or even in the previous year's budget, health funding to the states has all been cut. And here's the facts. I'm going to quote from various Treasury documents. The 2012-13 budget delivered in May last year, the final budget outcome for the 2011-12 budget released September last year, the mid-year economic fiscal outlook released in October. Any one of these documents should be a cause for major embarrassment to a government that's incapable of making ends meet. But when you compare some of the content, you'll find it's just as chaotic, dysfunctional and destructive as the government that has produced it. Compare the documents and you can see something the Labor Party refuses to admit, that there have been savage cuts to local health services at the exact time when Labor was attacking the state governments for their cuts. What hypocrisy. I'm going to compare the forward estimates. This is in millions. 2013-14, the budget document says 2,929. My EFO says 2,840. That's a reduction of $89 million, a cut to Queensland health funding of $89 million. 2014-15, the budget says $3,267 million. My EFO says $3,174, a reduction of $94 million, a cut to Queensland health funding of $94 million in that year. 2015-16, a budget says $3,634. My EFO, $3,539, a reduction of $96 million, a cut to Queensland health funding in that year of $96 million. But that's not enough. Not content with cutting funds from the future, this government has decided to cut midway through the year to the current financial year. And here it is again, 2012-13 budget. It says $2,724 million. My EFO, $2,661. That's a reduction of $63 million, a cut to Queensland health funding of $63 million. But wait, there's more. Not content with cutting funds midway through the year, the Treasurer decides to grab money out of last year as well, applying a $40 million retrospective cut to Queensland's health reform funding. Here it is again, 2011-12 budget, $2,545. Final outcome, $2,505, a reduction of $40 million, a retrospective cut to Queensland health of $40 million. So Labor may be able to sleep at night, but the chairman of the health board won't be able to find the savings. The health workers whose jobs are less secure are going to be at risk.
The question is the House do now